sleepers and perhaps overrated teams in this tournament. Maybe list, two, three, whatever your thoughts are. The floor is yours. Actually, the floor is not yours. I want to say this stat that I read on Twitter because I saved it for this. And after that, the floor is yours. Interesting note for Oregon head coach Dana Altman. He's undefeated in the round of 64. He's 7-0 and he's 15-5 against the spread in all March Madness games.
Damn.
What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, that's why we pick a guy like that. Like there were retirement rumors during the year this year. And I think one of the things that happened to them is that they had two really good freshmen that just didn't gel with the team right away. And now we're seeing that come on. So I feel like that's like a theme with Oregon. It's like start kind of hot, get a little cold during the year. And then all of a sudden we look back and they're in the Elite Eight. So love that.
That's what you want. I mean, you want to figure your shit out early. Like you want the growing pains to be done by the end of January. So you still have something to play for come, conference tournament time.
Yeah.
Now the floor is yours. Sorry.
So for me, one of the sleeper teams that I have that I feel like you get a lot of value to go far is Auburn. Just because they're in UConn's region, I feel like everyone's gonna keep pick UConn to come out of that region, which is smart because I think they're the best team. But they did get a really bad draw. The 1, 2, 3, and 4, or the 2, 3, and 4 in their regions are very tough. They all won their conference tournaments. Iowa State was very impressive this year. Defensively, they blew out Houston, who was a top 2 team all year in their conference championship game. And then you have Illinois, who's obviously hot, has just won the Big Ten tournament. But I think Auburn is sneaky the best team in the SEC this year that kind of flew under the radar. They're just a complete team. And I think the SEC was kind of all around the best conference. So I think if you want some value there, you could take Auburn to go D because they have to go through UConn in the Sweet 16. And I think they have a good shot in that game. I'm looking at my bracket and I have like a lot of chalk besides that. I just think the higher seeds are kind of not as good as they were last year, just because the bubble was so crazy. So I don't really see a crazy amount of upsets this year. I mean, that would probably age very poorly. But a double-digit seed I have advancing to the second weekend is New Mexico. I'm really impressed with them on both sides of the ball, and they're hot right now in a packed Mountain West. They just won the Mountain West tournament, and I think they have an easy draw against Clemson, who's kind of falling off. And the ACC was weak this year. Baylor's kind of suspect on defense to me, so I have New Mexico advancing pretty far. But yeah, other than that, it's nothing really, no sleeper teams for me besides those two.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on New Mexico. I think that team's awesome. I think we were all really excited to get a Patino versus Patino game because his son coaches New Mexico, but again, they got screwed. So yeah, totally in on New Mexico. I actually have them going all the way to the Elite Eight. Another team that I'll touch on a bit is Dayton. I think that Dayton Nevada game is awesome, and I actually think either of those teams has a chance to beat Arizona. I think Arizona's awesome. All their metrics are great, but they just threw a bunch of stinkers out there this year. Like random nights we wake up in the morning and they lost by 10 on their home court, and you're like, what the hell happened to that team?
Lost to Oregon State, who is like historically bad
terrible
school.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't want to root for like UNC, but I would like to see a little Caleb Love rematch going on there. That would be awesome.
That'd be electric.
And if we get it, I think he scores 50. I think he's that kind of guy. He's definitely a dude. I do think one other thing I want to mention about Dayton is that they play super slow. In Arizona, all they want to do is run up and down. I think teams probably have a better chance of slowing you down than they do speeding you up. So I think if Dayton can control the game, get the ball to Deron Holmes, who's second team all NCAA against Arizona, I think they actually have a good shot of winning that game.
I have an interesting stat I want to read you guys before we close out here. Saw this on Twitter the other day. Obviously, take it with a grain of salt. It is, I'm usually not a big advanced analytics guy, but I thought this was at least interesting, worth mentioning. So it comes from Connor Allen. He says 95% of national champions have ranked 21st or better in adjusted offensive efficiency and 37th or better in adjusted an adjusted defensive efficiency. And so just going on, I'm not going to explain like the whole model of how he figured all this out, but going off of that, teams this year that like meet those criteria that like are above that threshold for offense and defense: UConn, Purdue, Duke, Arizona, Auburn, Creighton, Houston, and Marquette. And then you also had North Carolina and Texas Tech just underneath that criteria. And then he listed 5 teams that are like a lot of people are hot on that do not make that criteria. And that's Iowa State, Illinois, Alabama, Kentucky, and Baylor. So just something to think about. I don't know. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
love that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm shocked on Illinois not being in there, but
They were at let's see, he listed the Illinois 93rd in D. That's why they
Oh,
didn't
okay.
make the
Ooh,
criteria.
And I'm sure
there.
Iowa State is the opposite. I'm sure their offense is not
55th in offense. Yep.
Yeah, I feel really strongly about Kentucky. I just found myself watching all their games this year. They have like 4 NBA ready guys like right now, like Rob Dillingham. You could plug into an NBA team right now and he'll probably give you 20 on any given night. So
It's a classic Calipari roster.
it is. So if
Mhm.
they can just like toughen up a little bit and stay in front of one person on the floor, I think they'd probably have a good shot at a run. But also like Oakland could come out, shoot the lights out, and there goes another Calipari great team.
And
Yep.
Oakland's like not a bad program. I mean, they do tend to play Sparty once a year just because they're up in that area, but this is such a shitty draw for them to have to go up against a blue blood program like that.
Yeah, it happened all over the place this year. I thought it was crazy that they said that they had finished almost all the seeds up by Friday night, which tells you that like conference tournament to the committee just doesn't matter as much, but it's still something that we all should take a look at, even if the committee doesn't seed teams that way.